Hi everybody, so welcome to day 7 of our 21-day bioenergy and well-being reset. So two beautiful topics that we're going to talk about this morning. On the bioenergy side, triggers. There's a lot of information in the topic of triggers. It's a wonderful way to look inwards to ourselves to see areas that we can bring release to with our bioenergy practice and other practices as well. And then to look at, or on the well-being side of things, to look at a practice of grounding as well. So with triggers are our best teachers sometimes. They can be amazing teachers for us. So what are triggers? So we can feel triggered by lots of different things. We can feel triggered by people, their behaviour, their interactions, things that we see, things that we read, things that we hear about, a variety of different things. And it's really the key in this is being aware that we are being triggered. That's our first step, our first port of call. So if we feel something is triggering us, or we notice we have repeated inner reactions to something, that's a signal that there's a trigger there for us. Or, you know, we interact with somebody in particular, and or a group of people sometimes, and there can be a certain aspect of that interaction that we feel a certain emotional reaction to, a negative emotional reaction to it. And again, that would be an awareness that there's a trigger. And what is, you know, what's behind the trigger? Really, it's usually it feels the same as something else that's happened to us, something else that's happened to us in a negative way. And when I say happen to us, it doesn't mean it have to be something that, you know, we perceive as being done to us. It could be, we looked at what emotional blockages are in one of our other sessions for this reset as well. And it's really, if we have locked in something in our systems as a protective mechanism, as a warning signal to ourselves, whatever it is, so locked in maybe a negative emotion, rage, hurt, anger, fear, anxiety, all of these different ones. If we've locked that in, when we have another experience of something in life that feels as if it's the same as that first time, or feels familiar to that first time, or feels familiar to something related to that first time that we had that negative experience and we locked something in and held it within our systems, that's where we can feel triggered. So sometimes we say that, you know, the people around us and the experiences that we're having are a mirror for what's going on inside of ourselves, and it's true, but what does that actually mean? And what it means is exactly what the way I've explained there, is that if we are having a reaction to how somebody is behaving within our life experience, in a negative way, that we're having a negative reaction to that, we need to look, why am I reacting to this? Why am I not feeling neutral and just, you know, being an acceptance of, this is that person's behaviour, they own this, I don't own it, you know, it's theirs, it's not mine. So if we feel that it is impacting on us, that we are feeling sometimes we can feel it as a physical reaction, sometimes we feel it as an emotional reaction, sometimes it can be a mental thought type of reaction, but if we notice how we are reacting to particular situations in our lives or particular interactions in our lives, that type of thing, we notice then to see if we are having a negative experience or a positive experience. And if it's a negative experience, sometimes we just don't want to be in that situation and we have a choice to remove ourselves. But if we're getting triggered by it, we need to look at then what is the root cause of that trigger. Now, just because we're looking at the trigger doesn't mean that we say then we're going to not remove ourselves from that situation. We have to accept any situation. We always have a choice as to what we want to accept or not accept in our lives. So, or how we want to view what we accept or not accept in our lives. So with the trigger, the most important thing for us is it's a signal, it's a red flag, it's a pointer, it's a map, it's a guide for us to show what's inside of us that is not resonating with alignment, with acceptance, with peace, with feeling centered, with feeling grounded. So if something is making us feel off for whatever reason, we then look to see, right, why am I feeling off with that? You know, what is the root of this? Where has this come from? What was the original instance that, you know, led me to feeling triggered by this current situation? So when we say our outward experience is a mirror of our inward experience, it doesn't always mean that what I see on the outside that's triggering me is the exact same as the first thing that happened to me, you know, in relation to this trigger. It just feels the same. So So the thing that's happening now feels the same as the first thing that happened, you know, in relation to this particular trigger. So with our bioenergy practices and other practices that we teach you in our bioenergy diploma course, we've our next course starting on the 20th of May. We run for 8 months with that program. It's 1 weekend a month for each of the 8 months as well. It's an amazing program. We just bring you really deeply into these type of topics to see where there are imbalances in our system and why those imbalances are there, and then we release them with our bioenergy practice. So we have a free workshop tomorrow for 1 hour from 10:30 to 11:30. I'll pop the links into the comments below if you'd like to attend that, where I talk about this and other topics as well related to bioenergy and our bioenergy diploma course as well. So to look at our wellbeing practice then of grounding. So what is grounding? It's really just about us reconnecting to earth energy, to the frequency of the energy in earth. And we can do that in lots of different ways. And why would we want to even do this? It helps to ground us. We talked on our first day about, you know, we have these subtle energy systems. And, you know, I suppose if you look at a plug and how we wire a plug as an analogy, we have to earth the plug for it to work. We need to earth ourselves for us to have proper balance, for us to be able to function properly as well. So practices that we can do, well, there's the obvious one of standing outside and connecting to the earth in our bare feet. You know, the types of shoes and stuff that we wear now, we're not always connecting to the earth in that physical way. So we can just stand in a garden or on the beach or, you know, in a patch of grass in a park or whatever it is for about 10 to 15 minutes. And obviously if the weather doesn't allow or your schedule doesn't allow for that as well, we can use visualizations for grounding as well. So we can just sit in meditation or stand in silence, whatever it is that you'd like to do, where we can just visualize our feet connecting with the earth. And visualize our feet maybe sinking down into the earth within the first 10 to 15 centimeters of the earth. And just taking a few deep breaths in and bringing that practice to your day, you know, or on and off, in and out of your life experience as well, to help you, to support you to feel good. So I hope you get to use that in your day ahead, or, you know, get to use it in your experience, and looking forward to connecting in with you again for our day 8 of our bioenergy and wellbeing reset. Thanks guys. See you soon.